What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today, we're going to be discussing what the gurus will tell you. You got to find your ideal client. You got to map it out, what you want your ideal client to be. And we're going to tell you guys why that is baloney, because it is. Your ideal client does not exist. Instead, you're going to do what we're going to be talking about here today. But Jimmy, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. It's a good day.
So what's your ideal client, man?
Well, if they're within 6 miles of my facility and have the means to afford my service, that's about it, man. That's
So you
about
mean
it.
you mean to tell me that the guru that told me that I have to sit down and map out and write a client, avatar and write out a whole page of notes about Mrs. Jones. She's 37 years old. She has 2 kids. Her husband works and blah, blah, blah. You mean that's all bullshit? That doesn't matter? I can't do that?
Doesn't really matter. No. It's and it's so funny because Anthony and I have been through like coaching courses, right? And coaching courses and masterminds and all kinds of things. And a common theme in a majority of these is identify your ideal client and do this whole worksheet and do this whole deal. And every time, and we trusted them and we did it and we did the whole deal. And by the end of it, you're not any farther along than you were before you started doing it. And it's just a waste of time. And time is money, people. Like, we're not here to waste your time at all. Like, we want everything to be actionable. We want everything to help you grow and look at the numbers and course correct and do all these things that we need to do to grow your business. And some of these exercises are they're just the fugazi. That's all they are. It's fairy dust. And it sucks because you trust people so much. And then you're like, why did I do this exercise? Why did I spend time wasting time doing this? I will make one point to the ideal client thing, though. In your marketing messaging, you want to be speaking to the type of person that needs your help, right? You want to kind of be speaking to that person. So when we talked on a couple other podcasts about how you don't want to use trainer speak and that kind of thing. So you want your speech and your messaging to be like more approachable for the average everyday person. But that average everyday person is, could be somebody in their 30s, could be somebody in their 60s, could be somebody who's female, male, whatever, right? You could have a youth athlete that would benefit from your training, right? You could have somebody who is really injured, or somebody who's really healthy, somebody who's 50 pounds overweight, or somebody who has no weight to lose at all, right? Like, all of these people can benefit from your service. So for you to boil it down to be like, oh, well, I want, women that are 40 that are into Shape magazine and and all these little nuances and get their coffee from a specific coffee house as opposed to Starbucks because they're elite or whatever it is, and you try and dial in all these specifics of a person, it doesn't help you at all, because the person that you want is somebody who is either like problem aware, right? They're aware that they have an issue that they need help with, and they are within, depending on your population density, anywhere between 2 and 10 miles away from your facility. That is it, right? And there's not this overarching specificity that you can do. Even when you're doing digital advertising, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to like dial your market into this one specific niche, because you'll blow your whole, you'll burn that whole list out. You'll burn all those people out with your advertisement and your messaging because it's way too specific and your ad doesn't even hardly get out there. So it's like, how far is somebody willing to travel to your facility? Do they need your help? Boom. That's it.
Yeah, I remember when I hired this one coach, and initially, like, we went through the whole like thing, ideal client, and I looked around my gym, and I'm like, I kind of got a bunch of different types of clients. So I was like, okay, there's something onto this, right? So I go, I do all the work, and I start like the marketing message, like Jimmy says, and blah 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 blah. And I remember getting clients that didn't fit that, still coming in after I did all that work, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this good? Is this like, and they're good clients. Like, like, so technically, if I have an ideal client, my client's probably 50 and older, a woman in her 50s. That's probably an ideal client. Some of my best clients are women who are like almost 40, who've been with us for like 4 or 5 years. So, like Jimmy said, we have brick and mortar facilities. I think this might be a little bit different if you have like an online business of some sort, because it's a little easier to kind of dial it in, because your range to get clients is the whole world. Whereas when you have brick and mortar location, a physical place, who's going to come to you? The people around your place. So, for example, Jimmy might like my training. He says, "Oh, I want to look just like Anthony." But realistically, he's not going to come to my facility. So,
No.
but if Jimmy lived down the block and said, "Oh, I want to look like Anthony, I'm going to go to him," he's going to come to me
Right.
because I'm there. So that's the thing, is like, you forget, like, your marketing message has to be, not dialed in like that, because you can only get so many people in this area. So that's it. Don't do those stupid exercises. But like Jimmy said, when you're talking about your marketing message, like, okay, there's some things that we know, right? We know that majority of the people who do personal training are women over 40.
Right.
If you just target your message to people over 40 who are females, you should be good to go.
Right.
And it's like so funny, like 99% of my marketing message is females. We get men that join all the time.
Right.
All the
Right.
time. And it's just the way it works. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. Your language needs to be a certain way that makes somebody feel like they're not going to be intimidated coming into your facility, is kind of that big thing. But that doesn't nail down a very specific niche or avatar, right? That's literally just how you advertise, right? You make it so that, like, you look at the objections that people would have to coming into a facility, be like, oh, I don't want to be too sore, and I don't want to feel intimidated, and I don't want to feel like people are looking at me, and I want to feel comfortable in the space, and I want somebody that pays attention to me. I want it to be like, I want somebody to guide me and coach me and keep me motivated, and all these things, which are just general good business, right? So you create your messaging in such a way where you make it so that people don't feel intimidated by what it is that they're getting into, and they feel welcomed into your space, and they don't feel like you're trying to sell them hard and all this kind of stuff, right? These are the ways in which you help people best. But when you're a local brick and mortar business, there's not like some riches in the niches thing like people talk about, right? It doesn't really work. You're selling, the niche is the way you provide the service, your specific vehicle, right? And some people are going to want the health club, the big box gym where they have the sauna and the swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if they want that and they don't want personal training and they don't want small group or instruction or whatever, then maybe they're not your ideal client because they don't want that, but they sure as hell can benefit from it, because all they're doing is walking around the locker room naked and sitting in the sauna, right? They're not working out, they're not pushing themselves, they're not getting value, really. They're just paying to rent equipment, and that your service is better. So if you can convince them to use your service, they are your ideal client, right? So there's some gurus out there that base their entire model on ideal client, right? And I'm like, I never understood it for the longest time, because I was like, aren't they just people that live near you? And I thought that I was missing something at that moment when I was young in my business career. And I was like, but aren't they just people that live near your space? Like, isn't that all it is? And I'm like, what am I missing here? I don't understand, like, what is going on with this? And it's like there's this level of trying to say that, okay, this is my ideal client. If this person doesn't fit into that bucket, then they're not my ideal client and I'm not building the right business. And it's like, are you making more money? Yeah, you're good. Like, keep going, and it's that simple. Are you profitable? Are you increasing your profitability? Are you able to work less in your business? Are you able to help people? Are you able to create good results and create good retention and have good client experience and all these kinds of things for whoever you serve? Yes? Okay, great. And if you're to boil down the ideal client thing, you technically have a different ideal client for every different hour of the day because different people come in at different times of day, right? Is your ideal client somebody who's retired? Well, then your business is only going to be busy between 9 and 11. Is your ideal client a working professional who likes to get up early in the morning? Okay, well, have fun only coaching from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., right? No, it doesn't exist. Who in your local area has the means to continue to afford your service for long periods of time? And sometimes, even if they don't have the means, they get a lot of value, so they just continue to do it. So that's not even a disqualifier in the grand scheme of things, right?
So if they're breathing,
yeah,
and they're interested in changing their body,
yeah,
they're your ideal client.
Yeah. And
so
they live
what do you have to know?
Certain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's granted.
That's
but
great.
So what's the ideal client then? Like, okay, so, and I agree, there has to be very, very important marketing message that you need to be putting out there, right? When you're putting all this stuff out there, you have to be talking to, a specific type of person. So I would say I would gear the message. And again, you don't even have to call out females if you want to. Like the way we do our ads, I think Jimmy does the same, is we split it up and we have 2 buckets. So we break the ad down into 2 people, male, female. And then you just gear the message toward males and females because there's going to be different words you use for males and different words you use for females. But it's basically anyone, I would say 35 and up is basically the ideal person that you want in your facility. 35 and up, that lives local. That's it. That's your ideal client.
For the most part. I mean, we have some folks that are in their late 20s, but it's pretty rare. We live in kind of a tech area though, so we do have high earners that are also somewhat young to be high earners. So, and we talk about income a little bit with the ideal client just because we're a premium service, so it's much easier to close somebody who has the funds than it is when they don't have the funds. But then again, we have people that have the funds that don't convert, and people that don't really have the funds that do convert. So, but you have to think about what stage they are in their life. A lot of people are more apt to participate in your service when they're a little bit older, especially if you're running a small group model that's a little more customized and personalized because they're a little banged up, they've had some injuries, things like that. So you're more likely to appeal to a little bit of an older demographic just because of the specific way in which you provide service. But that doesn't mean that people in their 20s are not going to want your service. It just means that they're probably less likely to reach out to seek that service out because they're in a stage in their life where they're wanting to spend their funds on things that are cheaper. They're probably more attracted to a larger group model. They're probably more attracted to a big box gym, where we kind of go 30 is kind of that low point. You could go as low as 27, I think, but
we've had some clients who've been with us at 27 for years, actually younger than that, 24, 25. We've had them who've been with us for over a year, so sometimes, and that's why you can't pigeonhole yourself. Because I used to think I was doing something wrong if I was getting those clients in. I'm like, oh, they're not going to stay. They're young. Doesn't matter who it is. If they see the value of your service, they're going to stay. If the value that you're giving exceeds in their mind what they're paying, they're going to stay. It doesn't matter how old they are. Yeah. Yes, it's probably going to be a little bit harder if you're charging premium price to get younger people in there, of course. If you're selling to broke college kids, as the saying goes, yeah, that's not going to work out. And they might see the value, but just genuinely might not be able to afford it. That's why we go after the older, and especially with our paid marketing, it's more of an older strategy you go after because those people got money Plus, when someone's in their 40s and 50s, they're kind of past the point of like, hey, I got to run around with the kids and,
Right.
I'm going to have another baby. When you get women who are younger in that 25, 27 range to, 40, they're probably in their childbearing years where they're going to be having kids and this and that. So, start, stop kind of thing. But again, those clients end up coming back anyway. So,
Right.
yeah, don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't do the fugazi thing that all these coaches teach you out there to, spend time and write down your ideal client. Bull. Your ideal client, if they have a pulse, interested in changing their lives and live within, 5 to 15 minutes of your facility, that's your ideal client. That's
Right.
it. End of discussion. Save yourself time, guys. You don't have to do those stupid exercises. And this is why, if you're looking for a coach, you need to click that link below, and we will stop all that fugazi nonsense and teach you how to actually grow a business so you can put 20K in your pocket every month consistently, reliably to change your life. So, like Jimmy said on the last episode, you don't have to live in that shitty apartment forever.
Right.
All right, guys. Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, and we are out.